Obstructions and blurs. You cut out the engine and watch a Japanese-looking man dressed head to toe in black across the road. He's carrying a slimline metal case and pummeled by the midday rain. Will it ever let up? He looks about as solid as one of your night visions. It makes you think of the figure you saw scuttling beneath the parking bay lights. But that was probably just a neighbor minding his own business. Overwork and a lack of sleep has got you chasing phantoms. For a second you think he was going to enter your building, but he actually goes into the adjacent pet shop. Maybe he's got something in the case he's looking to sell. A very frustrated snake, perhaps. The rain seems endemic at this point. It hasn't quit for weeks. If it did so in your sleep, and it started to appear in your dreams to compensate. You scribbled down 6 key points for today's investigation on a slip of egg-colored jotter paper on the breakfast nook before you left your apartment. Leads, both unfollowed and dissolved. You're questioning everything now, but your sleep has at least helped. You are recharged and you are ready to investigate. You are much sharper, but you have also reminded yourself to take a breath. These things come slowly. Most of your favorite writers claim there is no such thing as inspiration, but you know this to be wrong. You've seen it in your work. You've seen it in the gaps between the buildings. 2 things you can always count on: inspiration, redemption. Not much else. You look up to the darkest 3rd floor window and happen to catch sight of Marjorie flapping her flabby arms around a cluster of box files. Marjorie has been with you longer than anybody now. Marjorie is reliable and immune to bullshit. You assume Teller is somewhat behind her, gambling online, reading a trash magazine, or being the best damn partner you ever had. Teller is unpredictable, as is his varying pace. Ease in, ease out. He could be picking his teeth or connecting the dots like a motherfucker. This is what he does. This is what he is. You cross the street, sidestepping a puddle, almost getting sucked down the drain. You swear metal almost swipes your pants leg. The trash can between the pet store and your building is hemorrhaging garbage. You can no longer keep track of whether the other floors are occupied or not. Wasn't there an occupancy firm? The box light in the reception hall flickers above your head. A would-be halo. You see spiders duck for cover. You ascend the stairs. The air is perhaps more stale and clammy too, but then it's never nice. A garbage truck hisses outside. You see a flyer nailed to the wall from the corner of your eye. You hear something heavy being dragged about the top floor. You see mirage-like silhouettes through the dirty glass. You enter the office. It is as professional and well-kept as the surrounding building is grubby. Marjorie is filing. Teller looks a little too relaxed under the circumstances, chewing gum, half focused on his laptop screen. The slick Sony model is as new as the table is old. You go for the coffee, as is your way, your routine, whether you want or need it or not. Marjorie is good at keeping it warm, but this will never stop the beans being inbred outcasts. You drink it anyway. What are you doing for Cedric? Doing, Marge? Doing? Well, that's good. And here's more good news. We already got that report. Now that's 7 early. I told you that new broad down at filing was the shiznit. Can I get a hallelujah? This solicits a semi-serious what-the-fuck look in Teller's direction from you and Marge. Okay, everyone's a critic now, he quips, but he doesn't really care. He just grins, his shit-eating grin, and goes back to his screen. This particular mode of body language that Teller has could be staring at digital tits, could be on the verge of breaking a major case, could be thinking about his high school sweetheart. He's just like that. But when he gets anxious, he's anxious. And when he gets mad, oh boy. Any important calls, Marge? Well, someone called from Jackson's campaign. Wants to know if we're going to vote for him or McNulty, if you consider that important. I do not. You asked Marjorie to fish out the file you kept on Pang's Gaming Cafe a couple of months back. In particular, you want those high-focus telephoto shots Teller took. At the time, he referred to them as less than useless, and at the time, you were inclined to agree. But something is bugging you now, something unremembered which crossed your mind last night, that you could only half remember at the time. You look down at your coffee and are surprised to find it empty. You refill from the dregs of the pot. You get half a cup and some mutterings from Teller for your efforts. You move into your office. She has the folder in front of you before you have even sat down, and she exits without a fuss. You lay out the 4 main photos in a rectangle. There are half a dozen or so more, but they aren't for shit. Obstructions and blurs. First you run your mind through the edges. You always begin with the periphery and then work into the center. Same as with any case. You know the surface is a distraction. You're looking for the core. You know that it is a waste of time trying to remember what you remembered last night. It will come if it is important. It will explode like a firework in the desert. What it will illuminate is another story. Pick one. Now this one is the plainest and least enticing of all. However, there is one element which grabs you. Although it has eased off with age, you always get a funny feeling about the figure to the top right of the frame. Seemingly, assumedly, just a random customer. Their mid-length hair is caught mid-motion, semi-obscuring the face, and making it hard to even know whether you are looking at a man or a woman. There's something in their hand, perhaps a coffee, but it's impossible to say for sure. You think from the hair and the build it is a woman. Teller's jury is still out. Pick two. The room, shot from an angle different enough to transform the room. The distance between objects appears different. The front door, a lifetime away. The monitors, smaller. Pick three. This picture holds the only other element besides your irrational feeling about the obscured figure in photo number one. A semi-visible monitor, the only one in the quartet that gives up more than the vaguest details, has a banner at the top of its screen. The name was so unusual that you ran it, more out of sheer curiosity than any sense of a viable lead. But it never came up. You couldn't get a single viable hit, despite what search engine or browser you used. Not even the internet whiz-kid Teller could track it down for you. He said he even used archival databases, so the fairly obvious solution of it being taken down didn't really cut the mustard. Unlikely it was taken down in the small interval between the photo being taken and the photo being developed. 2 days. Teller said it could point towards the deep web or even the meta-network, but that wasn't so easy to track and archive. One thing is certain, this mysterious website is no small part in creating your obsession with these 4 images. Pick 4. Not much to tell. An old Chinaman next to a fish tank. A small pencil behind his left ear, a bookie form in his right hand. The large fish tank occupies half the frame, and one fish dominates the waters, big, round, and black. You pass Marjorie's desk on the way to water the plant. She is immersed in something. You stop for a second to see what Teller is doing. You really taking another look at those pictures of the cyber cafe? Best of the bunch, and they tell us virtually nothing, man. Just a hunch I can't let go. Well, you taught me to follow those, and haven't you been proven right over the years? But, well, those pics, I don't know. The website is strange, admittedly. Probably not related to the case. Strange, just strange. Probably a degree or two of sketchy as well. But I can't help you with that. Hit a dead end there. And there he casually tosses his pencil and spins his chair around so as to face you fully. The woman, however... Woman? Oh, you know, the man-woman thingy. Old twirly hair in the upper right. Yeah, what about them? Well, I did have a thought on that. But it would be a long shot even if it were tracking down a major lead. I mean, for like a major case. And we knew just what we were doing. You know, looking for. So far, something this trivial. You think you have a way to enhance it or something? Not something, the first thing. I have a buddy from NSA. You remember you met him briefly on the Bolano case. He still works there. He wasn't fired. He was promoted. False rumor bullshit. So he should have access now to the Black Widow. Now, I don't know if that can do it, but if anything on Earth can, it's that bad boy. Is it software? No, it's the software, the best for this situation, developed by them, exclusive to them, and very, very in-house. Well, surely they keep that on a real tight leash. Don't even loan it out to other government departments. I can but ask, brother. I can but ask. Oh, yeah, by the way, any word on that meat in the closet? Explanations how it got there? Any toxins found? No, but the Walker is getting more and more curious. The Walker? Yeah, you know, the old guy off his meds who decided to get off his ward, too. I thought he was just detailed. Well, we all did. Looks like it might be a little more. Elaborate. Well, it turns out that he wasn't just your typical juicehead. He wasn't a vagrant or some guy who couldn't look after himself no more. He was living in one of those private citizen care homes. You know, where they're licensed, but basically anyone without a record can do it, and their Social Security checks go straight to them for food and rent, or a portion at least. Well, this is supposed to be one of the better ones. It's in the Wiltshire area. There are like 6 clustered around there. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is he just appeared there one day. Say what now? Mesmeraldo just showed up in a puff of magic smoke when everyone else was sleeping. They found him in a vacant room. He had some stuff with him. Not sure the details, but at least an overnight bag and a framed picture. Know that much. Wasn't booked, expected. No app form or paper trail. Just there. Just there. Just there. And he said... Well, he didn't say a whole much that equated to sense about how he came to be there. Like we know he was on the fucking psych ward, psychotropic up the yin-yang. That he came from East Texas and his dada dropped him off the day before. But no details, no proof. And you said none of the other residents have seen him before? Nope. The next bit is more a private mumble you doubt your partner catches. Fucking weird. And check this. He has some sort of huge scar on his body that he can't account for either. Stomach, I think. But the clinic I spoke to described it as gnarly and evil looking. Gnarly and evil, hey? He write that in his official statement? Sounds like the whole fucking case to me. Maybe we should let this clinic take the reins. So I take it from the description we're talking an assault. Someone meant to do him damage, not an accident. I guess, Sauce, but fuck, really, I don't know at this point. It's like you said. How do we know what is directly related and what is just in the vicinity in a case as convoluted as this? Well, as per usual, we explore all avenues, but we focus on Samurai, her parents, the creep at the bookshop, and the missing Chinaman. And where is Ping? On your way back to your office, you see what Marjorie is so immersed in. She has a variation of the purple sign up on her screen, and it's blue. She seems furtive, but you know it is crazy to think she seems like anything other than Marjorie. She was cagey, though. It just can't be for any reason bad. At least, not betrayal bad. You inform her you are going out for lunch and to question a suspect, but this is only half true. You head back out onto the street. At first, you think the rain has ceased, but it's just eased off. It tickles your skin. You definitely feel sharper than the day before. Was that a firecracker? Who the hell is setting off sparks in this part of town? Two black guys seem engaged in a dance-off on the street corner near a hydrant. Last summer, there'd been a spat of arson incidents involving fireworks. Usually anything involving illegal fireworks would take you straight to Chinatown, but this had been the Ukrainians. But the use of firecrackers made it real hard to tell what was arson and what was just kids getting out of their depth, not used to the big guns. Yu Pang was unlikely to sell his precious fireworks anyway. He went all out for the Chinese New Year and had a fetish for them in general. You flow through the traffic. Things seem a little off today, like the air in the building and that thing with Marjorie. You almost missed the 2nd Street turnoff. How many fucking times have I? You mutter to yourself. You realized because of the huge green billboard for perfume billowing above you. A small drone hovers on the corner, just above a noodle stand. They're just starting to soak into the cityscape now. You do a sneaky U-turn and are met with a litany of sonic abuse. Rightly so. You deserve it. But you have that old police ID should the abuse come from a cop you've never met before. Back on track, you soon see the opening for bench warmers on the right-hand side of the street. That old blue awning with the faded white lettering, the sight of which you now find comforting. You park in the side alley between the bench and the Korean grocers. You park in the alley. You have a badge for that, too. You get out of the car and slip into the warmth. Old Sammy is smoking in his usual place, the end of the bar closest the door, and he nods as you enter. You know this bar, and it knows you. What nobody from Sammy to the barflies to the regs know is that you have a Penguin Classic in your inner jacket pocket. And every time you leave this snow globe of smoke, the first place you head to is the East Side Park, the city's 2nd largest. There you read. There you reflect. But right now, forever and always, you drink. This is what you do in the afternoons. This is what you do. You're probably the only man, no women here, who drinks from the top shelf, but the others don't seem to mind. They're not all losers and lowlifes either. Some of them you can even imagine being friends with under different circumstances. In other times, some of them you do consider friends. The lines between acquaintances, pals, and friends is something you and Teller and Marjorie have debated many a time. One of those things everyone seems to have their own standards and ideas about. To the naked eye, the carpet seems held together by ash and snot and bloodshed. So long ago, it's surely forgotten now. Car horns and shouts slam against the threshold, but this dive bar cocoon is its own little nexus, a safe space in a harsh city. It's also the complete flip side of your only other public haunt. Old Billy Frank is there, in his usual spot, too, adjacent to the pool table, on a small table for one, just below the alley knockout poster. It's hard to imagine Billy Frank in any other place. He is someone who exists in this space. He's smoking a cigarette. It's warmer than usual today, and the music a little different. A steel guitar player and his instrument growl lazily across the bar, creeping between parsed out but largely hidden speakers. It's softer and better and more to your liking. It's what you'd expect to hear in a joint like this. It's what would play in the movie of a bar like this, and you wonder why it doesn't play all the time. The weight of the small, soft-back book is comforting and reassuring against your ribcage. Your weighty, half-a-cow wallet more so. Marco, the bartender, is also smoking a cigarello in his case, and the plumes of gray and purple smoke meet satisfyingly in the apex above the bar and spiral off double helix into the muddy lights above. It's always freaking wet, said, but now it's cold too. It's like that movie recently. You give him the slight brow furrow. The serial killer one. It's a good movie, not like one of those shitty ones. He kills, but it's the deadly sins, and it's always raining, and the city's always green. Cities like this one for me when I got a hangover. Every morning, then, retorts Marco. Haha, in your pants. Marco smirks at the slight odd comeback. There's another one like that now, too. Movie, I mean. How did the Penguins do? How do you think they did? They blew. They always blow. Getting better. Still blowing. You laugh. You relax. Some tension eases from your shoulder. This warm little bar is as much comfort as the literature in its own strange little way. Your eyes drift to the left, and you consider a picture you always consider. It's one of those mirror pictures. This one's tinted gold and framed in black plastic. It's adjacent to the alley one and depicts a human boxer and a kangaroo. You think that somehow the kangaroo resembles Marjorie, but you can never explain why. You watch Billy Frank shuffle toward the flaking paint of the men's room door. What's wrong with him? As in, why does he look even more disconsolate than usual? Marco rolls the word around in his mouth, testing for flavor. Disconsolate, huh? You should be careful using words like that, brother. In this bar, I mean. You keep showing education, you might have to find a better class of watering hole. Maybe run down the street to Yates Wine Bar. Suck a bag of dicks. Haha, haven't heard that in a while. My kid used to love to quote that line. Fuck, whatever happened to CK? They fucking buried him. That's what happened. You drain your glass to punctuate the sentiment. A gentle slam down. Why, though? Popular, wasn't he? Because, Marco, although the truth might taste good in a belly full of lies, it doesn't sit well with the general public. Hey, fucking men, brother. As he says this, the bartender drops his cloth, spins on his heels, and takes down a top-shelf bottle. Brandy. Louis XVIII. Places it down on the bar with respect, reverence even. let's drink to the truth seekers. I'll drink to that, but just one, mind you, because I've got to get back to the office and do some stuff. Don't worry, you're not getting more than one of these for free. Hell, I don't even like selling the shit. As Marco pours the amber into a fresh glass, the light of the bar too dull to catch its glint, your eyes return to the men's room door with the scarred red paint. You're desperate for Billy to return. His absence makes you uneasy, and the thought of him not returning, nervous. But this makes no sense. A honking horn, followed by a shout, draws you to the opposite side of the bar, to the window. People, too many people, pass, and a forgotten line from an enigmatic novel strikes your brain from nowhere. What's outside the window? You're stopped from pondering the question by the clinking of Marco's glass against your own. He smiles a smile that doesn't belong to his face. The smile of a man who has accepted, with better than average grace, that were things just a tiny bit different, he would not be pouring your work-delaying ass a drink right now. He would be famous. He would be something somewhere. He would be a better man. To the truth seekers. To the truth seekers. You say this with conviction and confidence and a small splash of love for both Marco and his top-shelf liquor. The Courvoisier is remarkable. You never did tell me why the old boy's so glum. His cat died? Disappeared. But yeah, probably the same thing. He lets it roam. Probably fucked itself to death or fell under a car wheel. He loves that thing. Yep, that thing loved him. And that thing is all the poor bastards got left. They can stray for days, though, can't they? Weeks even, then pop back up for the canned food. Well, I'm pretty sure old Billy feeds it whatever he's having, plus beer. Damn, this is a good Courvoisier. He really give it beer? The beer cheers you up a little. He marinades it in a lovely sprinkling of beer, and that cat loves it more than a gay man would love a bag of dicks. Well, you raise your glass. Here's to whatever gets you through then. Billy Frank returns, order restored, at least for now. The conversation stops and starts and spreads out. Sports return, bad jokes, smiles, frowns and judgments, and each reference makes more sense to some than others. A too long silence finds you with your eyes glued to the edge of the bar closest to the toilets. It's got a chunk of wood missing. It has always had a chunk of wood missing, but it's different now, wet and decayed, rot. You see one tiny bug crawling around its rough edges and imagine 1,000 more. 1,000,000 below the surface. You take Billy's seat beneath the ubiquitous poster. The group warms up. Some men smoke faster today, others more slowly. Everyone drinks the same, and you are lost in a cloud of smoke and opinions of Muhammad Ali and mariachis and verbals that never quite erupt. That famous picture on the wall sparks conversation. Best damn fight I ever seen. Here we go. You weren't there, too young. You don't know. You don't know what it was like back then. I ever tell you about those two pimps I saw fighting in the Walmart car park? I swear to God, Sammy, if you ever tell that story about learning honor from a pimp one more time, I'm taking my butt out onto the street, where the cat piss belongs. All this makes you recall an article you once read, which said that the working of the brain was organized like drug dealers in Albuquerque. Information was compartmentalized, but capable of migrating when necessary. You find your kitty cat yet, Frankie? The old man winces, a blow struck but not intended. He swallows before he explains. She'll come back when she gets hungry. I got some tuna just for her. Some nice salmon, too. When you last see it? Fire escape, round about Thursday. I seen some fucking kids about, but don't think they done nothing. She'll turn up. You ask your neighbors. Marco's questions causes a strange silence. You need to piss, but want to hear the old man's response. Neighbors ain't seen shit. I don't know my neighbors. He's right, though. Best damn fight. You are reading The Great Gatsby in the park. This is the second largest in the city, and it was built around the time of Mayor Powell's inauguration. You have your back to the skyscrapers and are looking across a large sand pit to the other side of the park. 3 young boys are playing a game you remember from your own childhood in the sand. This proves a distraction that occasionally takes you out of your book. Their mother sits on the bottom of a slide, chatting to another young woman as she keeps an eye on them. The park is quiet today, mainly on account of the weather. The rain seems to have eased off to allow you to enjoy the classic. Of all the interruptions you have heard of this novel over the years, the most compelling came from the most unlikely place. Yet in spite of its origins, it resonated so much that every subsequent reading has been filtered through it, and at some point you have come to believe that the theory was your own original thought. A man sitting alone on the adjacent bench and reading a newspaper wears a hat identical to the bookkeeper's. You have observed him wearing it whenever he enters or exits his shop. The bookkeeper was never meant to be any kind of suspect. It was the purple sign that led you there. The symbol had appeared all over Samara's room and web history, scrawled in notebooks and underneath drawers. When you went to interview her best friend, she even had it on a t-shirt, though she claimed she had no idea of the meaning. Do you know what every little thing on every t-shirt for every band you like means? The only data you could dig up on them, the flyer in your glove box. So you thought you'd take it to an expert. You were simply looking for specialists in the occult and esoteric symbols and books. Teller had put out a soft inquiry on who was good for that kind of thing, and his name had come up. So you scheduled an appointment with him, not a suspect, so no need to catch him off guard, at his store, where the 3 of you chatted for maybe half an hour. You found him to be friendly, forthcoming, and, despite your complete lack of knowledge, very credible. You soon get a sense for this in your line of work, where experts are everywhere. He even gave you both his personal number on a card in case you had any further questions, just in case anything new comes up. But the second you were back on the street, Teller said he had a hunch about this guy. You were feeling something too, not as strong as it is now, but it was there, growing. Then Teller's hunch led him to a background check and a record longer than your dick. Theft, assault, DUI, statutory rape, exposure to a minor. but entirely compartmentalized between 1970 and 1975. Not so much as a parking ticket either side. To have such a volume and array of charges entirely within a 5-year period is very rare for somebody of the bookkeeper's age, unless it's a youth record. But the bookkeeper's was during middle age, which is something else you learned from your background check. The bookkeeper is about 20 years older than either of you pegged him for. It's not as bright, and things seem different. A whole new cloud bank gathering. Things have changed with the boys. One of them has tired of the game, or had a minor spat with the other two, and the remaining players have started a fresh game. This one you don't recognize from childhood, or anywhere else. This one's just strange, not merely foreign to you, but just plain odd. Doesn't seem like a boys' game. To even try to describe it later will frustrate you. Someone watches you watching the children, and across the sand, someone watches them. Everybody seems to be watching each other today. Or is it just you? Thinking like a detective, a savage detective, fierce and true. Back into the past, back into the past. A fiery window on the horizon distracts you from it all as it imbibes and releases the sun. But the longer you look at it, the more it starts to feel like another eye. This light makes its way through the pane, shifting its focus, and now that yellow eye is watching only you. A slight breeze ruffles your pages, and you decide it's time to move on. You have multiple crimes to solve. Traffic is thicker now, and when it does move, it seems to move more slowly. You are reminded of the traits of your childhood station. How, when you waited on the platform alone, they seemed to allow you to determine their velocity. These objects in motion under your imagined cosmic strings as the autumnal leaves blew back and forth and the cloud hands ticked regardless. The people on the sidewalks are indifferent to your daydream. They move like fire. Half the city looks familiar to you these days, every face a snapshot of deja vu. The news peddler looks like a pederast you hauled in for carding a lifetime ago. The fat woman 10 steps down from him, a shoplifter in Macy's. The other half resembles a shadow. The rain is the rain. Then you suddenly catch sight of your Oriental brother at the pedestrian crossing, and your heart skips a beat. You know there's nothing special about his, just a bit of weird coincidence. But there's still something about the case, the one in his hand, and the one that has you wrapped around its little finger.